Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. All right. How you doing? It's been a while.
I know it's been a long time. I don't look
It's
so
been a
handsome.
while.
I don't think I really am this pale, but whatever. It's fine.
Oh gosh, give me just a sec.
Meeting is being live streamed. Thanks for the warning,
Oh,
CJ. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Take your mind into the wonderful world of physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual wellness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kinetic Hour. Conversations with you and guests. With your host, Kenan Wesley Mason. That's me.
so good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Kinetic Hour. I am your host, Kenan Wesley Mason. So welcome to everyone listening and watching here on Facebook Live. Um, as always, go to my YouTube channels. There's always two. One is right here, the Kinetic Hour, and that's Kinetic, Kennetic. That's Kinetic. And the other, as always, is Kinetic Fit and Wellness Info. And again, that's Kinetic, Kennetic. So once again, thank you all for joining us live. My guest today, feedback. I heard that. My guest today, she's a pharmacist for over 20 years. She's a speaker and the author of Off Balance, The American Way of Health. And here's my copy right here. I'll just show it to you. It's an autographed copy, as you can see right there, autographed copy. So thank you very much for that. Um, Off Balance, The American Way of Health, a pharmacist's perspective on why drugs don't work, and her new book. So you've been diagnosed with cancer and now you're in a panic handbook. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm Kinetic Hour welcome to Dr. LEYLA Ali. Yes, Dr. Ali. How are
Thank
you?
you. Thank you. Appreciate it. That was a great welcome.
Thank you. And thank you for taking the time out. Um, Now, for everyone that's watching, I have to kind of act like I don't know you. So, um, just real quick before we get into um, everything that I want to discuss, because actually it's a lot going on for this specific month. There's been a lot going on just as recently as last week, actually, which I want to get your take on as well. Just give the viewers a little background on yourself and how you got started in the field of pharmacy.
We're going way back. um, and yeah, we met like 10 years ago. I think it's been right. It's been a long
And
time.
it's been closer to 15, actually.
Has it?
Yeah, it's
Well,
been
the
closer to
my
15.
that book came out in 2012, so
Yes,
I knew you
yes,
before the book then. So
yeah, yeah,
um,
absolutely.
So going way back to pharmacy, I grew up in a household where my father was a surgeon, and my mother was a surgical technologist that did the instruments. So I didn't know anything about holistic health. I didn't know it was a thing, and I didn't know there was any options. I tell people too, we always had a cabinet full of medication in the hallway closet. So whenever somebody was sick, somebody would go there and they'd have something to help us feel better. So I always felt safe knowing that we had access to that.
Yeah,
And so when I wanted to go to pharmacy, so I wanted to continue that access and just have a better understanding of it. But there's just some epiphanies going, wait a minute, this is not like I do not feel safe being around these meds, they're not what I thought they were. And
right,
one epiphany was soon after pharmacy school. Everybody's talking about cleansing. They're very trendy, everybody wants to cleanse. And I didn't know
yeah,
anything about that, right? So I asked a friend of mine and I said, can you get me one of those cleanses? He brought me over a couple books, and one of them was like Cleanse and Purify Thyself. But I started reading it, and it had stuff I'd never heard before. It said 95% of diseases are caused by what we eat. And I'm like, well, that can't be true. Nobody told me that in pharmacy school, you know? And so
Yeah.
I started looking through all the causes of the common disease states. And we have a therapeutics book, 1,600 pages, all the disease states and the causes, and nothing about food, you know? They look up gastroesophageal reflux disease, look up arthritis, nothing's a mention of food.
Mhm.
And that's when I started doing all the mixtures in Long Beach and meeting holistic practitioners and going on the journey that led me to the book, you know, because it was like a wake up call. Like, you're just like, wait a minute, there's these basics to health that I don't even know as a pharmacist, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So that,
Yeah, I mean, and we do see that a lot of us don't have the correct information to get healthy. We know that in medical school, um, just like pharmacy school, the medical student is taught very little about nutrition or about anything of natural substance. I mean, everything is all synthetic. It's about
right.
the synthetic way of healing, and there's a whole history behind that as well. But your journey has definitely taken you on a different route as far as health is concerned. And before we go into what I want to talk about as far as last week, because I do want to get your opinion on something, I'm going to play something for you. This is just something that might be familiar to you. I'm just going to pull this up, and because I like to show stuff like this from past, yes, you see this right here. This is from May of 2016.
Okay.
Yeah, this is from May of 2016. This is your appearance on Aim to Purpose, the radio show, and which we're happy that you took the time out to drive all the way out to Hollywood
How
and
fun.
yeah, out to Hollywood and do this. And while this is playing, I want to get your take on, because last week there was a strike that went on with Kaiser Permanente. About 75,000 healthcare workers and staff went on strike because of the same reason that they went on strike a couple of years ago during the pandemic. High work loads and very little compensation or unequal compensation, being short-staffed, working conditions, not only for the workers themselves, but a better environment for the patients. You know, a better environment for the patients. How do you feel about the workers going on strike over and over and over and over and over again? What is the problem, and why can't the workers get what is owed to them, or what I feel they deserve from one of the biggest, actually, I think Kaiser Permanente is the biggest nonprofit health organization in the country. What's your take on everything that's going on? I mean, they did 3 days of this.
They also have it going on in Walgreens.
Walgreens, yes,
They did a
yes,
walkout. So Kaiser,
yes.
somebody's been sending me this stuff. So the conditions have been bad for so long. And you know what's different here in California? When I graduated in '98, there was a shortage of pharmacists. Like, they would actually hire people from South Africa and bring them over to have jobs. There's
Wow.
3 pharmacy schools. They opened a 4th one in California. Now there's like 10 or 12. So it's kind of like all those ones where they want to encourage people to come.
Yeah.
So, you know, the salary's going down. I mean, we're so replaceable now, right? So someone's coming out of school with $200,000 in debt that'll do the job. So
Right.
supply and demand is not on the pharmacist side anymore on that part, you know. The
Mhm.
conditions have always been bad. Now there's less negotiating power. So I think last time Kaiser did it, they were going to let him walk, and they had to kind of negotiate. But they work, it's terrible. Like those retail jobs are really unfulfilling and overworked, and yeah.
Yeah, overworked and underpaid. And I just saw today that right here in Linwood at one of the independent hospitals, they're striking. I think it's St. Mary's or St. Lucy's, one hospital in Linwood. Just today, they started striking. Yes.
Everybody's like, we should do that too.
Right. I mean, it's amazing that the average hospital, for example, we can go back to Kaiser, and I mean, the revenue that they make as a nonprofit is off the charts. I mean, in comparison to their profits versus their losses. I mean, just from the 3 days alone, Kaiser lost several millions of dollars. Now you can just imagine if they would treat their employees right, and the monies that they've lost, they could have given that to the employees.
Yeah.
And then everyone's happy.
Right? Just give him $1 million bonus, and yeah.
Right.
The
Right.
conditions have been bad for so long. I mean, they're always like 2 people short on what you need, They're always running ragged at those firms. And I haven't been in a retail chain like that since I think 2012. So I'm at a private pharmacy now. And before that, it was mail order, which has a whole other issue of misery.
Yeah, it's crazy how that works. I mean, and they're asking for better benefit packages too. I mean, it's almost like the employee that works at a hotel that they can't sleep at, or a coworker that works at a grocery store where they can't afford the groceries.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, if you're at a hospital, you should be getting top-notch benefits, or at least ideally, we would think so.
I know Kaiser pharmacists always got paid like 10 or 20 bucks more than regular, but they worked like really hard too. So, but
yeah, matter of fact, let me pull something up real quick, and then we can kind of move on. Which one do I want to show first? Here we go. I'll just show this one. I'm going to talk about the actual workers that are actually striking right now. So it looks like we have X-ray technicians, receptionists, medical assistants, sanitation workers, you name it. Every assistant, and we're talking even the janitors, the people that do cleanup. All of these people deserve to have what's coming to them as far as compensation is concerned. We have right here the CEO of Kaiser, if I can put this on the screen right here as well. The CEO of Kaiser, let's see, he makes about, oh gosh, it looks like, oh, well, we'll go right here. One of the people, one of the strikers says it's unfortunate because we know Kaiser has the funds. We know they can stop the strike at any time because we've seen how much they've generated. The organization ran a net loss of 4.5 billion as opposed to the 95 billion in operating revenue. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
I mean, that's a B, that's a lot of money.
Right. 95 billion with a B. With a B.
Well, I think it's good pharmacists are standing up for themselves, and they still got a long way to go with the truther movement,
Absolutely. Yeah, they do have a long ways to go. I mean, it's an uphill battle. You have right here the CEO, Gregory Adams, makes about 17 million. Now, if they happen to pay, here's another Richard Daniels, EVP, and then you have other people that are at the higher end of the food chain that are making tons of money, while the employees are making crumbs. It's almost like slave labor. And also having to take care of sick patients. So they're kind of burnt out with that.
So a long time coming. That's all I know. Like I said, I haven't been in those areas lately, but
Yeah.
That a long time.
Yeah, they've been striking for a while. Just right here, not too far from here is the Kaiser in walking distance. Newly built building. They were building it just before the pandemic, which means that obviously they knew what the sick wave was going to be. They just built a brand new conglomerate building right here in walking distance.
Nice.
Big Kaiser building, the North building and the South building.
Stay out of it.
Right. So I'm going to switch gears. Right here in your bio, it says that you're teaching a de-prescribing class for online telemedical group. Talk about that. What
I've
is
been
that?
working for Gold Care, which is Simone Gold's company. Dr. Gold, the frontline doctors.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so every Monday I teach de-prescribing, and it's been really good because I had all this information in my head, and I've been able to get into a class. And so there's a class on depression, and basically I kind of scare people. I show them why the drugs don't work. They're either going to keep you off balance long term, or they're going to have bad side effects. And I've done a class on pain, depression, anxiety. I've done it on emotions and power of the mind, cancer. Diabetes, actually. So, and I helped a couple of members that actually work to reverse their diabetes. Like they're kind of,
Wow.
instead of, and the diabetes thing is such a big lie. Like if you go to the World Health Organization, you go to the American Diabetes Association or the FDA, all those ones, CDC, they'll all tell you, it's a long-term chronic disease, irreversible. And they start planning, like as soon as you read it, you're pre-diabetic, right?
That's right.
And once you're pre-diabetic, you're facing diabetes,
Right.
And then you can watch that one documentary. I don't know if you see it, but Simply Raw, Reversing Diabetes in 30 Days.
Okay.
And there's 6 diabetics, and they were severe diabetics. They weren't like well controlled. In 30 days eating raw, real food, most of them were reversed. They were all reversed that were type 2. The type 1 went from 70 units a day to 5. So they all did amazing healing. And it's like, how come the American Diabetes Association isn't pointing that out, And then these people like Jason Fung, reverse diabetes. So the 3-letter agencies are going to manage your diabetes, and other people that are independent, they're going to reverse it. So
right. Managing versus healing.
Exactly.
So there's a major difference. And speaking of diabetes, which is I'm glad you brought that up, because now we have this new, well, it's not new, but it's really taken on a life of its own, as some drugs do, as we've seen in the past. Some drugs are advertised and they literally take on a life of their own, such as this drug,
Wegovy and Ozempic.
Ozempic, yes. It's amazing to me because I've seen the commercials for at least 5 to 6 years now, and literally a tidal wave has gone over this drug, which was labeled as a drug for people that have the diabetic condition, but now it's being marketed as a weight loss drug.
And they can't keep it. It's been shorted. Going on. People having really good effects. And apparently if you have that impulsive behavior, like any kind of addictions, it helps with that too.
Yeah.
But they're having good results. But I'm telling people, like, it's new. They don't know the side effects yet. They're going to push it out as much as they can. Wait and see. Even though I know some people that have some really good effects with it, I'm like, just wait and see. Not yet.
Yes. The long-term effects, which most people never consider when you are desperate to get well.
Right.
Because most people go into a feeling of desperation when they have a condition such as diabetes, which in all honesty is one of those conditions that can easily be healed. You don't have to take these, you don't have to poke yourself in the leg every month or take these off the wall injections of synthetic insulin. Like what you said about a couple of minutes ago, simply raw fruits and vegetables. Diabetes is pretty much, in a nutshell, there's other factors, but we're just talking about an overabundance of synthetic or processed sugar,
Yeah.
along with other things that can factor in. But that's all we're talking about, the overabundance of all the processed crap that's in the food supply.
Yeah. Mhm.
And
If
go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, if you haven't seen Jason Fung's work, he talks about intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
So when you have sugar, it either goes in your cells and gets used or turns to fat, or it goes to the liver and gets stored as glycogen. When you intermittent fast, it empties that. And
Right.
it's all about balance, you know?
Yeah,
So people
that's
that
right.
are on the borderline, intermittent fasting is great.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people do that. Some people only eat one time per day, and allowing that food to digest, as opposed to eating 3 or 4 times a day, and you have a slow metabolism, and then you're backing yourself up day after day after day after day after day. And
Yeah.
then your colon turns into a trash compactor. I mean, you're just kind of packing it up more and more and more and more. So yeah, Ozempic is definitely, I don't wish any harm upon those that are indulging in it so readily. But like you said, we'll wait and see what
Yeah.
the long-term effects will be. I think one person was on one of the cable news shows about a month ago now. She said she was taking it for a few years and her stomach started to go into a paralysis.
That's what gastroparesis is, the thing
Yeah,
where the stomach stops. I've heard that.
yeah. And so she's not the only one. There's been a few people that have reported about those type of after effects
Yeah.
after taking the drug for so long. But so hopefully they'll listen to this broadcast and know that you can heal your type 2 diabetes mellitus without injecting yourself with some synthetic insulin, telling your pancreas that you're no longer needed.
Right.
You're no longer needed.
There was a practitioner at the Gold Care. She did a presentation on berberine, said it's a natural Ozempic or Wegovy,
Mhm.
so for weight loss, it can help inhibit the cravings and things like that. Berberine.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I'm like, well, it sounds something around and been safe. Sounds good to me.
Right.
Yeah.
This month there's 2 things this month that I want to get into, and then we're going to get into your segue into your new book.
Did you
Before
get it in the mail?
I did not get it yet, but it's
No?
okay
Did
because
you get it?
I didn't get it yet.
Okay.
No, but when I
It's
do
coming.
get it, when I do get it, I'll still post it up in post production. So
Okay.
not a problem. This month, before we talk about cancer, this month is acknowledged as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But first, I want to talk about another buzz phrase that we're hearing about more and more and more and more. This month also acknowledges Mental Health Awareness Month. And in your first book, Off Balance, you talked about the power of the mind and the power of emotions. Mental health is all the buzzword right now. I haven't heard anything about mental health this much in years. I mean, everything is about mental health. If you see a mass shooting, oh, he was mentally ill. If you see, more commercials, if you're depressed, ask your doctor about this new drug. If you're having manic anxiety, ask your pharmacist or ask your doctor about this new drug. Why do you think that there's so many people that are being diagnosed as having some sort of mental illness, as opposed to us being kind of sane people and kind of steering ourselves in a better direction? Why do you think that is? Because it's really the buzzword. I've heard about it quite a bit over the last probably post-pandemic.
Well, there's a lot to be stressed out about. People are really scared with all the pandemic stuff, which is another story. But it's also very trendy. Like if you go on social media, when we were nervous, we just were a little nervous, right? Now these people are declaring, I have anxiety, right?
All right.
On TikTok.
I've seen that. I've
You've
seen
seen
that.
it, yeah. It's kind of like trendy for kids to
Yeah.
have it, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that doesn't help anything, and nobody gives the tools to overcome it. I just did a class today on emotions, you know, and we never have any class on how to handle emotions, right? And you either kind of just follow a dysfunctional parent, or just some people don't express them, and all of a sudden one little thing goes wrong and they explode, right?
Yeah.
But you know, you're supposed to just really understand your emotions, not be scared of them. Right? So if you don't want to feel them, what do we do? We're
Right.
eating, we're drinking, you know, anything, but not to feel it. But the right way is to just let the emotion in, you know, invite the emotion in and feel it, and notice where it feels in your body,
Right.
you know. And then they say to express it quietly. So sometimes you have like a heat in your throat, or maybe your stomach's tighter or something, but just kind of notice where it is and then express it. And you can write, you can do things to express it quietly. And then they say express it physically. So
Mhm.
running or hitting a pillow or something, you know, or dancing even. But there's a process to it. And then so many people don't express it, they get stuck in the body, and that leads to disease too. So I think emotions is like a place where we just haven't, nobody really, it's not in the mainstream healthcare. If you have a problem, you're going to get Prozac, right? You have
Right.
anxiety, we'll give you some Valium. It's addictive and it's going to cause another problem, but you know, so it's a huge opportunity to do help in healthcare that I don't think most people understand, you know.
Yeah, most people don't understand that. Like, and you're right, emotions, it is okay to share your emotions versus keeping them inside. Again, packing them up. I mean, energy is real and it does accumulate over time. And you can turn yourself into almost like a pressure cooker almost. You know,
Exactly.
you have all this tension that's building up until one day someone pulls that trigger, and then they just
And
lash
hopefully
out
you
at
come
everyone.
safe.
And then you
You know,
feel the wrath, you know?
yeah, and it's funny. I was just telling someone I was at Optimum Health Institute, and they have you do an animal colonic every day. And a guy, he didn't want to do a colonic. You know, guys are with that kind of thing, right? But I
Right,
said, I'm like,
right.
you're here, just you know, get the most out of it. He did one, had a big release, and he said he couldn't stop crying. He had some emotion
Mm.
stuck in there, and I mean, even that, even stuck everywhere, you know. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, like you know how guys are, you start laughing. It's like,
Well, well, look, I can be honest. You know, we're all adults. I can be candid. I've only had one prostate check. One, one prostate check.
mm.
Um, Not the most comfortable thing for me as a man, you know.
That's
Um,
hilarious. New sensation. Yeah.
but and this was before I really this was when I was really kind of getting my feet wet in natural health. Um, I mean, we're talking again about a good 15 some years ago since I've had that. I haven't been inoculated either in about 2 decades, and I feel great. You know, this whole notion that from the time you're born, that the 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 pretense is that something is going to happen to you eventually. So let's give you as many shots as possible. Um,
They say
with
it's 70 doses now by the time you're 18.
By the time you're 18. That's
Yeah,
right.
17 different. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's an overload. I mean, no wonder people are going stir crazy. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, there's so much physical or biological infiltration by way of that. And also going back to the mind, it can do damage to the brain as well. So therefore, you can't have any real cognitive thought, or you won't have your own thoughts. All the thoughts that you think are yours are going to be someone else's,
You,
or what you see on the television.
you know, and before in pharmacy school, before we go on rotations, I think we had to have a handful of shots. And I don't remember what they were. I remember, I mean, I did 3 years year round. Usually pharmacy school is 4 years, but the one I went to is 3 years. So we went right through the summer. But I just remember that last year, just so much brain fog, like just reading stuff and not getting any of it. And I'm like, and that it probably was that. I bet it was probably overwhelmed too, learning too much too fast, you know. But I just remember just reading something and it's just like I just couldn't absorb it in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. So,
Yeah. Brain fog.
brain fog, yeah.
Yeah, they call it brain fog.
Yeah.
And the power of the mind. And for those that are watching, just to backtrack, the power of the mind is that powerful. I remember, when we kind of started getting to know each other, Dr. Allie was one of my clients a long time ago. She would give me these, we would be getting these conversations about the law of attraction and all this stuff. And Dr. Allie would give me these CDs. I'm dating myself a little bit, but you would give me these CDs of Jerry and Esther Hicks,
Right.
the teachings of Abraham, and which I still have to this day, and I do listen to them still from time to time.
Oh, they've got so many
and-
YouTube videos now, but
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can go on YouTube and watch all that stuff now.
right.
But I still have them for the sake of memory. And
Yeah.
and I want to thank you for giving me those, because again, when you have that kind of connection, again, all of us are connected,
Right.
whether we want to acknowledge it or not, whether we want to believe it or not. All of us have a connection to varying degrees. And all of those talk about how powerful the mind is. I mean, they have all the books. Asking It Is Given, The Law of Attraction, which is another book, The Astonishing Power of Emotions, as we've been talking about. So the power of the human mind is great. And also, whether you choose to take your mind in a positive or not so positive direction will determine what your physical status will be. And if anyone is consistently thinking about all the worst case scenarios of the world, then usually that's what's going to show up in your reality in some way, shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah.
And that includes illness as well, because a lot of people have feared, if you will, themselves into cancer, or have thought about so many negative things that they make themselves sick, or they give themselves migraine headaches, or any kind of headache for that matter, by way of your negative thoughts.
Yeah.
And it can become so much so that many people, as we segue to the other portion, and we can talk about your book as well, many people develop cancer by way of their consistent negative thinking, or their consistent negative emotions that they haven't addressed, or they haven't confronted, or taken responsibility for. And so when cancer hits, automatically for most people, when they even hear the word cancer, it's like a death wish.
Yeah.
Your new book is called, let me read this again because I like the title. And you have it right there. Yes.
You should
Yes.
have.
And I will have it too. So you've been diagnosed with cancer, and now you're in a panic. Handbook. Handbook.